It was a moment of history, a piece of diplomacy, and also the start of a long goodbye. Captured in Brussels only by photographs, the Article 50 letter delivered by Ambassador Sir Tim Barrow to the EU Council President Donald Tusk. Morning, got a plan, Prime Minister? For the Prime Minister, a date with destiny. 9 months in the making after the referendum. It will change Britain, the powers of her office and of Parliament forever, but only if a good deal can be negotiated. She announced the legal formality to MPs in the Commons.
The Article 50 process is now underway, and in accordance with the wishes of the British people, the United Kingdom is leaving the European Union. This is an historic moment from which there can be no turning back.
And sounded a conciliatory note on cooperation. A deep and special partnership with Europe was her promise.
Perhaps now more than ever, the world needs the liberal democratic values of Europe. Values perhaps
signs of the splits among MPs from the opposition benches and of domestic battles to come in a chamber that had been overwhelmingly Remain. The PM imploring the country to get behind her.
We are no longer defined by the vote we cast, but by our determination to make a success of the result. We are one great union of people and nations with a proud history and a bright future.
But the opposition has promised to fight her take on Brexit.
The Foreign Secretary is the same man who promised our National Health Service £350 million a week once we left the EU. Now he believes that leaving the EU without a deal would be perfectly OK. It would not be perfectly OK. It would damage our economy and people's living standards.
I'm afraid that's what we see from Labour all too often, talking down Britain, desperate for the negotiations to fail, and out of touch with ordinary working people.
And leaving the European Union could strain this union too.
What has this government done? It has carried on blithely, ignoring the views of people in Scotland and its democratically elected representatives. And, Mr. Speaker, Europe is watching.
One of the implications of Article 50 is putting the control of the exit process in the hands not of Westminster, but of Brussels. 4 times in this letter, Theresa May asks for the negotiations on a future UK-EU trade deal to happen at the same time as the Article 50 exit negotiations. And yet, within 4 hours, Chancellor Merkel in Berlin had said 9, the exit deal first, and only after that, the deal on a future trading relationship. This should have been seen coming. It does create some difficulties. The 6-page letter pointed to problems ahead with a new and controversial negotiating point, saying that if there was no deal, that would mean our cooperation in the fight against crime and terrorism would be weakened. The first time security has been brought in to this deal. Why have you made this threat over security that if there's no deal, our cooperation in the fight against crime and terror would be weakened?
There is absolutely no threat. There is only an observation that our fight against crime is strengthened by the arrangements we have with the European Union, and we need to put in place something to replace those. I'm confident we can do that. By doing that, we will keep the UK safer and the European Union safe.
Elsewhere in Westminster, the letter the culmination of a life's work, but UKIP's ex-leader suggesting the Prime Minister could have been more generous on EU citizens' rights.
My first paragraph would have been, Dear Mr Tusk, we unilaterally guarantee the rights of the 3.3 million EU citizens living in the United Kingdom because they came here legally. Only a banana republic would subsequently, retrospectively, take away those rights.
No turning back on this new road, says the Prime Minister, but potholes, jams and roadworks are already apparent. Tomorrow, the start of the so-called Great Repeal process to make EU laws British ones. For now, Brexit most certainly meaning Brexit. Faisal Islam, Sky News.